Okay, we're off and running. We're there. What's up, dude?
What's up, brother? Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. This is kind of like, if I'm being honest, I'm going to say something silly. This is the pinnacle of the show. The show's only been on a couple months, but for some reason, you have been like the feature in every other one of my shows. Going back through all my favorite old CrossFit stuff, you either come up in workout demo videos, you come up in old games events, you have all the best regionals highlights. So the theme of this show has been showing people from the past, people that have joined CrossFit within the last 5 to 10 years, where everything came from, all the old media, all the stuff that we love. And you're in so much of it that I'm like, if I don't at least try to get Jason on the show, what's the point of doing the show at this point?
No, man, I appreciate that. That means a lot. Yeah, I've had a lot of dude, I saw someone mention in the comments, Jackie, that was a great one. Burden run, good one. Passing out on Amanda, or no, I didn't pass out. The burpee bar chasers, the one that we actually connected over. Oh, that's what I called them, burpee bar chasers and Amanda. And then I passed out in 09. Yeah, man, I got a slew of them. I'm ready to rock.
It's funny that you did that because I happen to have all these tabs of YouTube pulled up with just about everything that you just mentioned. So we're going to watch some stuff.
Oh, man. The 100-pound DB dumbbell snatch. I remember at regionals that came up and I was like, Neil Maddox was my training partner at the time. I'm like, bro, he went and grabbed one from the conventional gym. And I tried snatching. I couldn't do it. And then next thing you know, we train. And I did the full regionals unbroken. And that was a great battle too, man. Got fired up.
You know, it's funny. Before I get into the first one, we're going to start with 2008, obviously. But before, I actually had a tough time picking some clips because I only want to take about 45 minutes of your time today. And so I was like, okay, cool. Well, we'll roll till we don't want to roll anymore then. But I did not put any regionals clips in this today because you have so many of them that if this goes well, I'm going to ask you to come back and do a regionals only show where we go through the craziest workouts from back in the day. So
I don't want to give away. I'll give away one little moment out of regionals that people probably have no idea about. Okay. It was 2010 or 11. These regionals were at Santa Clara Fairgrounds and the weather was shit. It was terrible, right? Super wet. And we were doing deadlifts and box jumps, heavy, or it was deadlifts. No, it was like deadlifts and something else. I can't remember. But what happened is over time, it started getting deeper and deeper in the divots. So I was trying to pull my bar out of the divots. And anyways, it was before 3, 2, 1, go went. I reached down to move my bar and everybody else did too, because I don't know whatever happened. We had a false start. Anyways, I'll have to show you back this video because we were in these deep divots and we were all trying to get out of them. That's one that stands out to me as a unique regional moment that'll never happen again.
That's pretty funny. The one that pops into my head that reminds me of the old school outside regionals was at around that time. I was in the Northeast, so that's when Reebok was doing all their stuff outside. Yeah, and they had the handstand walk for the first year, and it got so hot outside. Everyone was handstand walking on the black mats. I mean, their hands were melted off, destroyed. And it was the first or second event. Old school outdoor regionals was crazy,
dude. Or how about old school outdoor CrossFit Games 2010? You're in the dungeon, and then they take you out, and they say, "Hey, on 3, 2, 1, go. Your workout is X amount of push-ups and then climb over this wall." Right. But at the time, dude, the floor was so hot and we didn't know. So we didn't bring gloves out, but that was a nice learning lesson there.
I remember that very well too. All right. I'm going to pull up. So I was talking to Freddie Camacho actually today.
I love that guy.
China and I still work pretty closely together, so we talk pretty often. But he mentioned a story that I'm going to bring up here in a second that's going to go well with this. All right. So for those who haven't seen it, I mean, this is classic. This is Jason finishing in 2008. There's a lot of backstory to this, obviously.
Tons. You know, that was the year that the night before we prepped on they talk about the workout, and I was like, hey, it was a squat clean into a jerk. And I said, hey, Boz, can we connect them, right? Squat clean thruster. And he's like, absolutely. And so that was the first time that, I think that was done at a competition for that many reps.
I would say so. And now, like with all your experience, would you have like thruster jerk that bar with everything you know now, or would you have just stuck with that thruster?
Yeah, it's funny in hindsight, right? I mean, I'm not
Right.
connecting to my thighs. I'm, reverse curling it. I look like shit with my back rounded. At the top, you can make an argument that I wasn't reaching full extension. But at the time, that was the standard. Like those movements for at the time were pretty good. Like,
Totally.
you know what I mean? Like crease of the
Absolutely.
hip. And for people newer to CrossFit, those red plates at the time were not 55. So that on that bar is 155, not 185, 175.
Isn't that funny? The yellows were 25s, right? And the greens
Yeah.
were 10s.
The green were 10.
Yeah.
The yellows were 25, and then the reds were 45.
45. Yeah, that's so
Yeah.
funny. All right, let's get to the very end here. Almost there. There's a moment when Dave says, Jason Khalipa has won the CrossFit Games.
It's funny. Oh boy. Oh,
that's a nice one. That's a nice one.
As I'm watching this though, it's so interesting because this is the only year. I guess we can wait until this finishes out and I can explain like this will never happen again in CrossFit Games history because the way they structured the
every second counts, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And honestly, like probably the documentary Every Second Counts is 50% of what has got me inspired to coach CrossFit way back in the day. Just like there it is.
That's Austin Begebing who jumps out.
So here's what I heard. I heard from Freddie the night before. You guys are sitting around a campfire. You, him, and Austin. You're eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and you're calling your shot for the next day. What do you remember about that?
So I obviously, Freddie, I did my first CrossFit workout real with him. I did Fran at his gym. So I have a lot of love for Freddie and Austin. I don't remember me calling my shot. So the way that it was structured, if I'm not mistaken, I think I started 8th. And so that year, the way they did it, which I think was so exciting, but you can't do it anymore because each one of the workouts had similar time domains. They did every second count. So across the 3 or 4 events, whatever it is, they accumulated your time. The difference between your time and the leader's time placed you around this circle. So the way it worked is, if I'm not mistaken, I think Chris Spieler was first. He started. And then it went 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. I think I was 8th. By the time I started, I think Spieler was like on 14, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right. I think that's dead on.
And I had to catch up to him and then pass. And I just remember just sitting there. I mean, could you imagine this, bro? Like you're just sitting there watching all the other competitors go, and then your judge comes over and kind of gives you the green light that you could start. But what's so nice about that is that at that moment, whoever finished first, they won. And when I was going through that workout, I remember I was starting. I'm like, I'm making some moves. I'm like, all right, 5, 7, 10. I could hear what other people are at. Josh Everett, he's at, 22. Josh Everett is at this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then all of a sudden I started realizing, wow, Josh Everett took over the lead from Chris Spieler. And he was like on, if I'm not mistaken, 24. And I looked at mine, I was on 22. I was like, oh, okay. All right. There's something happening here. Then it's like, Josh Everett, 27. I'm like, dude, I'm like on 26. I'm like, let's go. And then that was the moment where I just kind of like, boom, boom, boom. And yeah, it was awesome.
And Freddie says he jumped over the barrier to tell Dave that you had won because Dave was not watching you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Crazy. That is so funny. That's like that. Those are the classic CrossFit stories that people need to hear because like that's how it was run back in the day. And like even when we get to Amanda a little later, it's so funny to see the way they decided to set up Amanda with that rig in the middle with the rings and the bars just going everywhere all over the floor. Dude. Compared to how they did it today, basically.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, and you got to take everything with a grain of salt that at the time, like this was like, for example, at the CrossFit Games in 2008, they introduced the chest to bar pull-up. I had never done one until it was introduced at the 2008 CrossFit Games. And I remember getting home, somehow like they put it out on an email or something. And for a lot of our women in particular, they were having a very difficult time. So they actually had to use a mixed grip and kind of like throw one of their chest sides up. And dude, it's just stuff like that. It was just a different time.
It was awesome. It's kind of what shaped where we got to. Okay, we're going to keep it rolling. So You win the 2008 CrossFit Games, and I would imagine everything about your position in CrossFit has completely changed. Like the way people talk about you, the opportunities you're getting, probably your passion for it. Because I mean, did you have expectations going into the games that you were going to make this huge like leap and change everything by winning it? So it must have been like a whirlwind after that.
Well, so, my background is I started off in the fitness space when I was 16. I started working the front desk of a health club. And that health club, when I graduated from high school, I started working full-time in sales and going to college full-time. And I had phenomenal mentors who took me underneath their wing, taught me everything about, not everything, taught me a lot about business, taught me a lot about that. And then I was like a sophomore in college, and Austin was introduced to CrossFit from his mom, and actually Dave Spitz, if I'm not mistaken, the Olympic weightlifting coach. And so then he came and was like, hey, we should try these workouts. We started cherry picking them for a while. Then I got introduced to Freddie, and then I got really into it. I started doing these YouTube battles. You can still find them online. It's like Jason Khalipa versus Bionic, Jason Khalipa versus OBT. And that's what really sparked like this competitive spirit. But at the time, even winning the games, I mean, dude, I won like $1,500 and a pair of Duin Olympic lifting shoes, which was awesome. And I just went home. Like, I remember I won the CrossFit Games, and I went to In-N-Out Burger after with the close friends of mine. And we were just like, this is awesome. And then the following week I started the business and never really looked back. But it wasn't like, my plan was not to become a professional CrossFit athlete. My plan was to open up a gym and do that. But the competitive side was phenomenal.
And so it's funny you mentioned opening the business, because I assume you're referring to your first CrossFit gym.
Yeah.
And this
Oh shit. You pulling up fucking this is a throwback right here.
The row here. Let's see what's gonna happen. So CrossFit Media was in its infancy back then, but yeah, but it seemed like after this point they definitely honed in on you a lot more. A lot of stuff with you at your gyms, just a lot of throwing down.
Yeah, well, I mean, Savon used to come out and film some media. It was great. I mean, I was relatively local to where HQ was, so it was a little bit easier for them to capture content with me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's the first time I went sub 120, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm going to turn the music down so Van Halen doesn't get us kicked off this stream. I never know what the copyright rules are anymore.
Wow, 1 minute.
Pulling a 113, dude.
Dude, you know it's a funny story about 500-meter row. So this was a good time for me, and I set a PR out on this video. Fast forward like maybe 5-7 years down the line, I'm at my gym one day. This is like 2012, 13. Like, I'm in really good shape, right? And this guy walks in, and I just got done coaching a class or something. This guy walks in. I was eating bacon. I'll never forget. So I'm eating bacon. This guy walks in. He's like, hey, you're Jason Khalipa. I was like, yeah. Like, how you doing? Welcome to the gym. He's like, I challenge you right now to a 500-meter row. And what did I get?
Let's see what it shows.
120.
That's what it sounded like. Oh, here we go. 120.8.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
That's fast, right?
Yeah.
That was back in the day.
Hang on. Before that story, I want to talk about I want to get the.
Trying to get sub 120 to Santa Clara.
I think this is where you announce your gym.
I got the keys yesterday. CrossFit Santa Clara.
So if someone wants to train with you, how do they find you?
I'll have the equipment in there next week. Website should be up next week. You just go online, email me, jasoncleep@gmail.com. Email me. I'll train anybody, anytime. I'd love to get any workout with anybody, anytime. Just give me an email. I'll shoot you right back. jasoncleep@gmail.com. I'd be more than happy to help you guys out or to get in a WOD with anybody. So let me know.
I think, sorry to cut off your story, and I want to hear your story still, but that sort of moment to me in a video when I see that just screams how genuine you are as a person and makes it very easy for people like me to become huge fans of you back in the day and then celebrate your entire career moving forward. There wasn't a lot of other people putting themselves out there. And I know like it was only the second CrossFit Games, so there wasn't all these like CrossFit Games idols like we have these days, but just throwing yourself out there after just winning the CrossFit Games, getting this newfound attention, opening a gym shortly after, then saying, if you want to work out with me, like I'm down, just show up, email me, show up. Like that is something that I think is so unique to the CrossFit space in general that you embodied and embraced. And I think you probably still do that to a degree today, even with your much busier lifestyle. Like, to me, that just screams that, like, how genuine of a person you are, which I love to see.
Yeah, man, I was all about it then, and I'm all about it now. I mean, I just got back like 30 seconds ago from grappling. I mean, I'm just, yeah, I'm in it. So I'm ready to, yeah, it was at the time in my life, man. I mean, dude, the business, just impacting people's lives and building a business that could support my family was the only goal. And in many ways, that still is my main focus. But back to the bacon,
Yeah.
then I'll answer.
Yes, the
whatever
bacon.
you want to do.
Yeah.
So this guy walks in and he's like, I'm literally eating a piece of bacon. He's like, "Hey, you're Jason Khalipa." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Hi, nice to meet you." He goes, "I challenge you right now to a 500-meter row." He's like, "I've been training for this for months to come and visit this gym, and I want to beat you," or something like that. And I was like, I just looked around. There's no one else in the gym. No cameras, no members, nothing. Just me and some dude who came to drop in at the gym and challenged me to 500-meter row. And I'm like, this motherfucker. Like, I was so angry. Like, I just got done with class. I'm trying to eat my bacon. And this guy comes from wherever he came from just to challenge me on this row. And if he hears this story, I want him to message me because I know he'll remember this. Because
What's his name?
I don't remember his name, but I know he set a PR by like 2 seconds. So this guy, the reason why I bring this up is that he got me so, like, not flustered, but kind of like those last like 30 seconds that are really tough of a row. I was like, dude, there's no way I'm letting this guy who traveled in my home gym to beat me, right? So I ended up getting like a 118 point something. It was the fastest 500-meter row I ever did. It was like 119. And he ended up getting like 121, which was really good, right?
Yeah.
But that's my story of how I got to my fastest 500-meter row time was basically was that. But
that's incredible. So that guy did you a favor in a roundabout way.
He did me a huge favor. Yeah. Anyways,
that's super funny. All right. So how did your training change going into 2009? Like, you're the defending champ, you're getting ready to go. Were you just doing whatever you wanted in your gym, or was this like, there was this like tipping point in the sport which it wasn't in 2009, but shortly after, where people started to change the way they're training, get coaches, everything like that. What was your approach going into 2009?
Yeah, I think that's a good question. So at the time, I lived at the gym. I slept during the day at the gym. I mean, that's all I was doing. I was in a very small location, just told myself, like, I have no other option but to be successful here. I got to, build. And what was really cool at those times, and I mean, dude, if you want to pull up some of these like old school, I should send you some of these old school, like CrossFit Santa Clara circa 2008. Man, I remember I didn't have enough money to buy box jumps. So we used folding chairs for not to jump on, but for jumping pull-ups.
Really?
Yeah, dude, it wasn't good. And I remember I bought 2 GHDs, right? This is how you knew you were old school. I bought 2 GHDs from garage gym store instead of buying like an extra rower. Like, why do you need 2 GHDs? Like, who needs that? Like, anyways, so my training really consisted of, a lot of the times, if someone called or emailed to this point, I would meet them. And so I did a lot of privates at the time because I was trying to build up the demand, right? And I would get there early, stay there late. And so I ended up working out a couple of times a day with the classes oftentimes.
Okay.
Because it would just be like me and John would show up and be like,
right.
Dude, hey, John, I'm going to coach you. And then I'll do this with you so that you feel like there's some good energy. And again, people will be like, the coach never works out with the class. I get it. But back then, when it's one person, you're trying to build a business, you're trying to create an energy. And so it was me like half coaching, half encouraging, half me working out. I would do a lot of that. In the middle of the day would be mainly for my training. And to your point, things started escalating like 2010, 11, when people really started doing like double days, triple days, like structured, and then obviously it was introduced to Chris Hinshaw later on. But at that point in 2009, it was like that.
I'll just say about the working out with a single member that shows up for class, that may be the best thing you can do for that member, even today. I like those people want that sort of they feel more special. You coach them, you warm them up, and then they get to work out with you. People feel more special like that. I still do that from time to time.
Yeah. So it's funny you mentioned that because like every week now I've been hosting these free men's club workouts. And so I just get a bunch of guys together for free in a parking lot here locally. And this has nothing to do with my gym, right? There's no There's no money exchange. It's just getting guys together to train hard so that we could like show up better for our families. Right. And I like coach like maybe 10%. It's like, hey guys, here's the movements, here's some scaling, let's go. And I do it with them. And that's the type of energy that it used to be way back in the day, but more one-on-one.
Yep. See, I think other people agree with us too. It changes the energy, just makes it fun.
That's it, man. And dude, if people aren't having fun, they're not going to stay consistent. You know, I'm trying to have people get in this fitness game for the rest of their life. And it's important to enjoy the moment. You know, that's one of the reasons why I don't think cherry picking is the end of the world. Like, dude,
totally.
Find workouts that get you fired up.
And also people showed up for class because they expect to work out with other people. And then they're the only one that showed up. So like you get to be that other person for them. It's a win-win.
That's right.
All right. 2009. So things didn't quite go as planned.
Oh boy, here we go.
Yeah.
You already had this ready to go, huh?
Dude, again, as someone who came up downloading the wave files off the CrossFit webpage back in the day to see what was happening at the games, because there was no such thing as live streaming this stuff back then. I have seen all this stuff 100 times, but
go. Here, I'll give you
people don't realize how much pressure is on the guys that are on the website all the time.
You see that, Seth?
He's a young guy. He might have got a little overzealous in the first half, but I
Seth, you see that?
Down, looking
Hang
like
on.
crap, came around the
I only have one monitor, so I can jump back.
Oh,
What I missed? Oh, whoa! What's this?
This is the Spirit of the Games award they gave out that
my.
year. So I just thought I'd show you the official Home Depot version that has the graphic on it. So the little throwback for anybody.
That's from 2009.
This is from 2009. And then wait, while we're on the subject, this is also from 2009. Hang on. Wait a second. Here, I'll give you guys a little.
He's got all the hardware handy.
Dude, so Skins was also a sponsor that year.
Yes.
So here's the Spirit of the Games Skins Award, whatever that one was. But here's something interesting. Check this out. So this is from 2008. This is the winning goal CrossFit Games, right?
What a relic.
And then this is 2013. But look how far the sport came along, man. Isn't that crazy?
That is.
It's just two really clear examples. Like, and if you felt them, you're like, oh shit, there's a big difference there. So.
That first one though is so sick. The first one is like, I almost like how cheap and just like you it's awesome. It's sick.
This is like one of the ones like, you know, kids win like a flag football tournament or something like that. You give them something like this. Yeah.
Yeah. Of course it made my week. Yeah. Seeing that stuff. I've never seen that at all. That's awesome. I mean, and the hammer, I assume was the hammer symbolic of the driving the stake in 2009.
That's right. And yeah. I got plenty of old school stuff over here. Actually, I could show you, but anyways,
that's freaking awesome. But you didn't start off the games that well.
No, I didn't start off the games that well. And so I'm not bitter, but had I taken that so the way they structured it that year was that the point system was, they made cuts. And so if you take last place, you got like 72nd, you got like a bunch of points. And so the earlier events were weighted more than the future events because of the way they made cuts. Yes. So taking 72nd in event one was devastating for me to win.
Because if you go back to the leaderboard, which I've done, you overcame like so many. I mean, you had a great games other than the 72nd. Basically, if you just not had a kind of, I don't know what. So what happened to you in the run? Basically, I guess.
Yeah, if I had taken like 40th, I would have won.
You would have won the games. Yeah, for sure. So what happened here? Just not training in the heat enough, or was it just like what do you think caused you to not be able to perform well with the run?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good question. I mean, so where you pause that at is perfect. You know what's cool? I don't know if you could zoom in. Those are the first pair of Rogue sponsored shorts.
Oh, really?
And what we did is we took a pair of black Adidas and we actually we used like a iron on. You know what I mean? Like a.
Oh yeah, to stick it to it.
Yeah, yeah. Anyways, so you can't see on that angle. You just see the stripes there. I guess you have to see the other side. But anyways, so I just was a little overzealous, man. At the time, I was a younger guy. I was coming in with the first place. I just wasn't mentally in the right state of mind. I was overzealous, feeling anxious. I had Eminem. You see those headphones I'm wearing, those old school headphones?
Yeah.
I had Eminem, Drake, you name it, the Tupac. I mean, I was bumping it. And I had this idea in my head that I needed to get myself pumped up for those moments. The reality is you will rise to the occasion. You will be pumped up. I promise. And so all day I'm sitting there getting, anxious, pumped up, just too much.
Yep.
So I got on the run. I'm just trying to hold my own. I start off with it's like a 1 mile run and then you hit the hills. And dude, when you hit those hills, bro, we were on all fours climbing up this hill. And I just started like, getting a little bit very fatigued, very, very fatigued. And at that point, I didn't have any like hydration tools or protocols or any of that stuff. I just started feeling really fatigued.
So early on, like after the first mile, you started feeling it.
Oh, dude, no. So when it really hit, so you run a mile like on the flat, and then you went up this steep hill, and then from the steep hill, you went up this really steep hill that you had to go around a cone. But on your way up a cone, you had to go on your hands. And in random fact, I ended up getting poison oak on my hands.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I got married the following week and my wife was not very happy about that. Anyways, so I go up around this thing and I start feeling kind of funky, like a little bit funky. I'm like, all right, just settle in. So then I'm kind of jogging and I'm like trying to settle in. I'm like, dude, I can't settle in. I'm trying. I can't settle in. And so I start running down the hill and I'm like, dude, I feel messed up. I get down where it's flat. I'm like, I don't even know what's about to happen. And I out of nowhere, just boom, blackout. And so I black out, I fall on the floor and I'll never forget this. So I'm laying there. And this is a really good defining moment for like how I wanted to live my life after that was like, I laid there and Dave Casher comes up. He's like, hey man, like you don't have to continue, right? Like if you're not well, like you need to stop. But I'm just letting you know, if you don't finish this last mile, your CrossFit Games are over. I'm just making you aware. And I just like looked around. I got up, some random person gave me their water bottle. I drank that, finished out the mile, took 70 seconds, laid on the ground for a little while, and then bounced back and got the deadlift on the next event. But yeah, that one sucked.
And I have the deadlift because I have questions about that. How you could have what appeared to be like almost heat stroke or just complete exhaustion come up, and then you go ahead and I don't know if you pull a PR deadlift, but you certainly pull a massive.
Yeah, it was like a 500. I think to clear the ladder, you had to get like 500 or something like that. And yeah, at the time that was PR because it was worth it to go to those heavier loads when you're in those type of situations, But yeah, I hit that deadlift. It was just, dude, a lot of it was all mental, man. I just needed some sugar. I needed to calm down. I needed to realize that like, what was in my control versus out of my control. And long story short, I ended up, coming back and finishing this ladder, but I had no more expectations on myself and it was perfect.
Did you have to go to this? You were early in this ladder because you were later finishing the run. Is that right? Or how did they send you guys through the ladder?
I think I might've still been, I don't know. I can't tell you. I don't know.
I couldn't remember. I remember one year at the games, it was later on when they retested all the stuff at Aromas. They had people, whoever finished last in the run had to go do the deadlift.
Oh, there's
first.
a picture of those shorts. Look on
the. Oh yeah. Let's see if I can pause it. We're going to get a good view of it here while you try to lock this thing out.
You see on the left?
Yep.
Yeah.
You can see it. So were you already sponsored? Were you like a Rogue Fitness athlete at that point?
Yeah.
So there you go. 20 pounds over PR, it says. So you finished the deadlifting first. You make a nice comeback after 70 seconds anyway. But
yeah, I mean, if you pull, I can't remember, but if you pull up the scores, basically it's like top 5, top 10 in everything. It just, unfortunately, that first one just left me down for the count. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to pull them up really quick to look at them just because I know people showed up to see this stuff. And I think this is super cool. But this was Miko's year.
This was Miko's year. You know what's funny about that? The final event was like overhead walking lunge with a plate overhead. Oh, there you go. So okay, look at that. What did I get on the first event?
So first event, 72nd, like you said, and then you went from 72nd to first. And then you actually had, you won that couplet. That was the power snatch wall ball couplet. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Yep. You won that. You actually did well in the snatch. And then actually did well in everything, basically, except the run. The run basically is the only thing that stopped you from winning the games back to back.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's some funny names looking back there, though. If you go way back, like Pat Burke, Hendel, I think. If we go way, way back, too, there's even like Spieler in 25th.
Wow.
Barber, Josh Everett, they finished pretty low.
Kyle Kasperbauer. Look at that.
Kasperbauer. Russ Berger.
Russ Berger. Let's go. Yeah, that's crazy, man. It was a good dude. It was just,
Hobart in 70th.
different time.
Awesome. All right.
So why is the winning deadlift so light? The ladder ended at 505. So if you got past 505, you capped out. That was why.
Yeah.
So there were a bunch of people that tied for first.
Yeah, they didn't anticipate you guys going much heavier than that, I guess.
No, and I mean at the time that was a really big deal.
Yep. I think that said a lot of. I can't remember how heavy it went. It went to 600 and change, I think, when they retested it like years later, which was. And I think a couple people finished that maybe, or maybe I can't remember. I remember Sam Dancer pulled something ridiculous like when they retested it. But hey, new member. Thanks, Asymmetric Years. Appreciate it. Okay, well, we're gonna have to get to the moment that went accidentally viral for me on social media and probably got you tagged 8,000 times. The Amanda video. That was one of my first live streams with my wife, and we had talked about it, but I have watched that so many times because, again, the moment for me of you go out like you're shot. We're going to watch it, but I'm just going to like brief this. You go out on the muscle ups like you're shot out of a cannon. You're like going unbroken. I can do this. No problem. You go back to the barbell and you just start smashing the snatches too. You go back to the muscle ups. They get a little harder, but you're still handling it. Back to the barbell. But that set of 5 and 5, the muscle ups implode. And then I'm sure your triceps are completely in shoulders gone. So the snatches implode like something we've never seen before or since. And it's like, what do you want to say for yourself before I play this?
A bunch of people like reached out to me and on social, and like I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing that you guys were laughing your ass off, because I am too. Like, dude, it's like anybody who doesn't take that, like, and look, obviously, like, I mean, here's the thing, like, that thing can go as viral as it wants because I'm the guy getting quote unquote like made fun of or whatever. And I don't look at it that way. Like, I look at it as a pivotal point for the sport. And for me personally, I learned a ton about understanding and controlling my nerves, even more than I did in 09. You know, in 09, 10, it's just, dude, that year, just to paint the picture here, and I think it's important to paint this picture, is that 2010, I come in with a 1st and a 5th, right? So I'm definitely favorited at that point. It was at the Home Depot Center under the lights, and they had the jets fly over. And I'll never forget, man.
Oh, I remember
we're at the Home Depot Center. We felt like we made it, dude. Like, this is badass. And earlier in the day, I'm thinking, oh, I got to drink Red Bulls. I got to stay. See, I didn't learn my lesson from 09. I thought, oh, I got to stay jacked up. By the time the event happened, like at 8 p.m. or whatever it was, because they wanted it underneath the lights, I had already exhausted my system so much that even for like a 6-minute workout or whatever it turned out being, I couldn't stay in control. And ultimately, that's how we got to this point.
Yes. And we'll talk more about it in a second, but we're going to watch it through, and it doesn't get old for me. So we're just going to, let me see, just pull this up real quick here. I just love the heart behind this. Like, there's no thought to be like, let me wait 15 seconds at the next one. I'm going for it again now. I'm jumping back on the rings now. Like, I just love it. I don't know what else to
go. All right. The best in the world are now starting this workout, newly named Amanda, after Amanda Miller, who will come off.
This ring setup is so funky too.
Big Zach,
so funky.
Several together. Nobody's come down yet.
We'll turn the volume down a bit so we can chat while it's going on. Feel free to talk over it the whole time if you want. But
yeah, so I mean, basically the way they structured this one is this was the final heat, right? And it's 975 full snatches and muscle ups, and it's a lot. They're 2 relatively complex movements. You could already see at that point, right? My positions were already not perfect, right? I was hitting low on the thighs. I'm already reaching in front of me. And so, but you can already see that, right?
But I think this is probably like the product of like, oh, it's so short. And this is a very deceptive workout. Yes, the movements
Very
are complex, especially for the time. But the rep schemes seem like you can just go out there and just maul through the reps. The 975 seems like nothing. And so it's such a trap when we haven't had workouts like that before this. There was really nothing like this before, a couple like
Well,
this.
and dude, there's like no kip really. I mean, look at that. Like
The rings are
and
low.
the rings are low. It's just a disaster. But the I think the learning lesson here is that, you know, when I redid this with the legends at the Rogue Invitational, just walking between the stations, man, dude, I'm like sprinting between the. It's like, dude, just chill out.
There's
Those rings are swinging.
and then
But
they
now
just,
look at
oh my God, they're all over the
Ugh.
place.
Just stay calm.
And then you hear that, I'm sure, the whole time. Dave
Yeah.
yelling, announcing it, telling you Spieler's pulling ahead.
But see how forward it is. Like
You just bend over, rip. You just bend over and pull it off the ground. Like there's no technique behind it. Instead of taking that extra moment, like Spiel kind of sets up a little bit. But you know, it's
I mean,
yeah.
he's looking good, man. He's looking good.
He's
But you know,
composed.
there's something to be said about this era of CrossFit, man. Like, you know, a couple years later, I meet Hinshaw. We start, you know, kind of, you know, I meet people. We start like realizing you don't have to always go all full send. But at the time, man, there was nothing else. It's full send or it's nothing, you know?
I totally agree. That's what this was all built on. Like that feeling you get from doing that, like completely sending it, seeing what happens. That's sort of how we trained back then too. Never mind competing. It's just how you always train. See what happens. Let's go hard and see what happens.
Orlando is back on the rings in his final round of 5. Miko is just about to jump up to the rings as well. So very, very.
I mean, you look around too, not even just at you. People are struggling all over the place.
Yeah, look at that failed rep.
Yeah.
We have Chris Spieler.
Rings going crazy.
The camera's on.
He said this isn't a big guy's workout. It's not a small guy's workout. It's his workout.
I got to get Spieler on the show at some point. I'd love to pick his brain on the past.
Yeah, Chris Spieler.
Come on, Chris.
You know what you should ask him about is the Camp Pendleton triathlon. Dude, I'll never forget. He's like cramping, walking backward, and I walk by him or I like run by him. That was a messed up event, by the way. That was terrible.
I had
He
clips
was
from that,
cramping.
yeah.
And dude, he's walking backward, and you know, I didn't want to ask, but I asked anyways because, like, you know, you're competing, but we're in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, bro, are you okay? Are you okay? Because, like, honestly, and I'd like to think that as a human, if he was really messed up, I would have tried to support him because we were in the middle of nowhere. Like, I would have tried to. I don't even know what I would have done, but
Yeah.
he said he was fine, so we kept going because you're in the middle of like the desert, you know. But look at me failing.
How many reps do you think you failed at the ring muscle ups here?
I don't even know.
You hit a
man.
few to start. I think it was the same theme on the rings and the snatch. You hit a few to start, and then like the last one or two of both were like seemingly impossible. And then Matt Chan, Matt's going to be on the show tomorrow. I just saw the podcast you did with him the other day too.
I love Matt.
I'm super excited to chat with him.
Look at, I'm still on these.
I know. I see.
That one counted.
Miko having trouble with the.
That's your last one. There we go.
No, stop it, Jason. Stop it.
You do well in the first couple. Piece of cake. You should finish this easy. There should be no problem from here. Look at that. 2 down.
That wasn't a bad one.
That looked good.
And there's Miko. He just jumped off the.
That should have been the moment where you go, okay, I need a couple deep breaths here. But nope, we're going to pull it again.
You don't know what fatigue does. They say
Why are we watching this?
We have to. You can see in the background there. The barbell is going to travel about 100 meters away from the rig. And there's another one.
Brutal.
Needs another rep. And Miko is getting under that bar.
Oh, I only needed one more rep.
Literally, I think you failed 5 before you hit your last rep.
And he's going to get 5. It looks
Oh, there's your 4th right there.
Miko Salo just moved ahead of Khalipa. Khalipa lost it backwards over.
I mean, look how, not even just your bar. Everyone's barbells are all over the place. Yours is going to move a lot further here in a second.
And, I mean, you've got to remember, Jason does have I think he likes to come from behind. That must be it. He's got a history.
Oh, man.
First event.
Brutal.
The tips have got to be down. Looks like Vic Zachary is just
Oh my God.
Crashing with
Just about took out that
Almost
camera,
kills
but
the
a,
cameraman.
very speedy cameraman got it out of the way. And we're going to get
Stop
a great
it.
view.
Stop it.
He's
Just
got
take
to
a
get
deep
under
breath.
that bar. He knows what
Again, and I was
to
talking to
do.
Freddie. He said he's screaming at you from the stands, but I'm sure you can't hear anything out there. There you go.
602.
There we
Jason
go.
Khalipa.
So, I mean, bro.
You know what,
All
though?
gas, no brakes, baby.
That
All
that
gas,
just
no brakes.
made me more of a fan, and all the people I've talked to too. Like everyone remembers Amanda, and we like to laugh at it and make fun of it a little bit because of that all gas no brake mentality. But that's also what makes me want to root for someone like you. Like when the workout comes out, I can't wait to see what Khalipa does on this. Like that's the best part.
Yeah, man. It was, dude, but that one was actually like, I was pretty messed up from that. So like the run, blacking out, getting back, like I was kind of messed up, but I was fine. That one, the one right now, dude, I was not in good shape. So I laid there. Oh, bro, I was so messed up. Like compared to previous times being messed up, I was the most messed up I've ever been in my life. I laid on that floor for at least an hour, at least.
No way.
I laid there so long that the place closed. And so, dude.
Oh, God, the lights are turning off all around you. No one's even.
Everybody leaves. And I'm
my
literally
God.
next to the camera and I'm just like huddled up in a ball and I cannot physically move. And I'll never forget my friend Andy. My friend Andy comes over, and because at that time, like the competition's ended, everybody's gone. And he's like, "Hey man, we gotta go." I was like, bro, I can't move. I was like, I'm trying, man. I can't move. He's like, let's see if we can get a golf cart. And so he like basically picks me up, like kind of puts me on his underneath his shoulder. And I think we get in a golf cart. We go to my car, and I get in my car, and I am just like, dude, I am seeing stars. I just didn't even know what was going on. I get in the car, and I just put the seat back, and my wife, she looks at me, she's like, you don't look good. I was like, thanks. And we go, I was like, I need something to eat. I need something to eat now. And so we go to Chipotle, and I remember my buddy walks in. He's like, hey, dude, because all of them were CrossFitters at the time, right? Like everybody was CrossFitters at Chipotle at that time.
Right.
He's like, hey, man, I got Jason in the back of the car. He's like, whatever. I ate Chipotle. I got in a shower at the hotel, and I poured cold water on myself for probably about an hour. All good to go.
Whoa. Yeah, you said to bring your body temp down, I guess.
Dude, I was just wrecked. Yeah.
Wow. That's funny too, because that's not the type of workout that I would like expect somebody to be wrecked from. Like,
no,
like you would think like a thruster burpee workout or something like that would completely mess someone up. But this seems like
it was all neurological, right? Because like you're sitting there trying to connect these fine motor patterns of a muscle at the time, right? Pretty complex, and a full squat snatch, pretty complex at 135. And it's so funny, man, is so fast forward all these years, right? And I'm in 2019, we do the Legends competition at Rogue in Texas. And I happened to be in Chicago, or I was somewhere beforehand. And I was treating it like I wasn't like training hardcore, but I was training enough that I had like two goals. I wanted to look good with my shirt off, and I wanted to be competitive. That was it. Like people would be like, oh, that guy, he looks pretty jacked, and he's competitive. And so when Amanda got released, I was like, oh shit. Like I kind of had a little bit of PTSD,
I bet.
And so I ended up going to a local CrossFit gym, and I was like, hey man, I need to use your rings. I need to practice this Amanda workout. And I did it. And after that, I was like, all right, if I just stay to the plan, I'll be fine.
And it probably went fine. I don't remember what you did. Yeah, easy.
I think I cut my time in half. Yeah, like all those years later, I cut my time in half.
Did you ever test it again after the games, or were you just like, forget that workout, I'm never coming back to it?
I don't think, unless it came up like at a regionals, maybe there was a version of it. I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't think I ever intentionally did it.
Gotcha. All right, we're gonna pivot a bit here. So I think that I always thought this was pretty cool. I remember when this actually got released on the website back in the day, and we could watch it.
We called it the man test. Yeah,
the man test. Yeah, and I think people don't realize, this was kind of probably. I know Boz likes this stuff too, but it was probably a big inspiration for when it got brought out to the games a couple years ago.
I just got
So
And we created something called the Manest for them.
So a local gym was getting rid of some of these P bars. And so I used to have seminars here, and I believe Bosman had seen us do this before.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, this was very reminiscent of when they announced at the games. I'm like, oh, I know exactly where that came from.
The middle bars, get 5 again. Okay. You then walk back.
Wait, so it's 5 on each side, then 4 on each side?
I think it's 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3.
Yeah.
And so on and so on.
That's way harder than I was thinking.
Started with the tip from the beginning. I like it.
Man, I don't know who that. I wonder who that is.
The big Progenics flag in the back.
Dude, back in the day, Progenics used to pay us like $500 a video that would go on .com with the Progenics banner in the back.
500 per video?
It was something like a lot. It was enough that it was like, okay, it was enough money that like you wanted Progenics in every video of yours.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember where all the money came from, but even they were like hooking us up at Misfit when we were like starting out. They were paying for some of our athletes to do stuff and travel around and wear the T-shirts and all that. They were throwing around money like crazy back in the day.
Is that Heber? Oh yeah.
Oh my God, it is.
Let's go, Heber.
This would be way harder. Strict only.
Yeah.
I just thought that was fun. That's a good throwback. And again, I like to show people where the ideas for the games come from. It's not just Boz and Dave sitting in a closet thinking of this stuff. There's been so much inspiration from videos like this over the years.
Yeah, man. I mean, I don't want to take, I don't know. That I'm sure that there was some type of inspiration there, but yeah, that was a tough one.
I mean, they literally did that. That was the test at the game. So come on, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
I probably got some inspiration there.
It's fine. All right, we're gonna keep rolling here. Thought this was cool too.
So let's see what you pull up.
Yeah, this is my gym. We have a few.
So you've got the home
Remember
court
this?
advantage.
Home court advantage.
Yeah, what's up with that, man?
Do you,
Go up to
we
6,600
couldn't
feet.
come to Park City. We're at CrossFit Santa Clara.
What's this one?
You guys are testing an open workout early, like a shorter version of it, I think, before the workout got announced to see what scores should be or what the feel of the workout was, I believe. I think I think it's
you know what, dude, you remember Chris Spieler and I doing the hotel workout from hell? That was a good one too.
Which one's that?
Dude, that's a classic. It's like dumbbell thrusters and burpees. And what they don't talk about is that when that video was filmed, we had just gone out to eat. We were teaching a seminar and I had just had clam chowder and we went into the gym and Spieler's like, bro, you got to try this. And it was brutal. Hotel hell. Yeah. I mean, if you look it up, it's on YouTube for sure.
I thought that story was going in a much worse direction when you're like, I just had clam chowder and then I did a workout. That could have been a hell of a lot worse.
Oh, but bro, I mean, my stomach was like, yeah, it was brutal, but it was a fun experiment.
How often did you get to work out with Chris? Did you or I guess, let me ask you this, like with your training partners, how close were you to the other guys that you competed against, like Chris, like Matt, Chan, like all these other guys? Were you seeking them out to train with them regularly or was this like a one-off?
Quite a few, we would definitely train quite often. And the reason why is because like Spieler and I, and Chan, a lot of us were on CrossFit seminar staff at the time.
Yeah.
And so on the weekends, we would try and throw down at lunch breaks or, I remember specifically like Spieler and I, and some instructors, like, cause I would always do a morning workout before we went to the seminar. I would do a lunchtime workout and sometimes I'd do something after, but I would always hit the stairs. And I remember one time, like Spieler and I, we used to hit the stairs together when we were staying like a Courtyard Marriott or something like that.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, if you look up like him and I, Hotel Hell, it's brutal.
What year did you get on seminar staff? Do you remember?
I started on seminar staff in 2009.
2009. Okay. So right after the games. So I'm saying all the things started going in your direction after that.
Yeah. I mean, we just, and then I taught seminars, traveled around the world, did a lot of CrossFit stuff, man. And
awesome.
My background's pretty robust with it. Learned a lot about it.
I would say. And then when did CrossFit Santa Clara become NC Fit or was it NorCal CrossFit before?
Yeah, so it was
What's the evolution of that?
So it was CrossFit Santa Clara. Then we opened up CrossFit Mountain View. We opened up, we were opening up our third location. It was like, hey man, we want to have one brand that we can get behind. And so we rebranded from CrossFit XYZ to NorCal CrossFit at the time. And then over time, we wanted to be more indicative of like, we were offering a variety of different programs. Now our programs have definitely consolidated more, of course. But at the time, we wanted to be more indicative. So we rebranded from NorCal CrossFit NC Fit. And it's funny because now we've almost came full circle. And now we just offer CrossFit at the gym. So it's like, it's weird how it's kind of came. My history with CrossFit is very robust, and my relationships are run deep. So there's a lot behind all that.
That's a fair way to explain it, I think. So that's a good way to put it. Robust and run deep.
Some people know, some people, it's a lot. So, but we're at a good spot now. All's good.
It's awesome. That's great.
When you get a chance, either later on or something, pull up that hotel workout from hell. You'll get a kick out of it.
I'll tell you what, I'll run this and then I'll look it up in the background while running it, because this is super cool. I think this is when CrossFit really started to, I think, do a good job promoting their CrossFit Games season, starting with
Khalipa has been synonymous with top games performances since the second CrossFit Games.
Open announcements. Do you remember this versus Rich?
Oh, yeah.
With a dominant performance in the final.
Like, what a great montage, and then you're coming out to the stage is like insane.
Was this the year I had California Love playing? Let me see.
It might have been.
Jason beat 195 men to win
Oh
the
yeah, I
games.
think I
Since
got
then, the field has grown
Hotel
exponentially.
Hell.
Yet Khalipa has found a way to be the most consistent long-term competitor in history.
I'm not really driven by the competition. I'm driven by the training.
I found
that's
it.
what helps me stay consistent, is that I love going into the gym every day and just throwing down with a bunch of people. Competing is just something I do in addition.
Oh, that's a good one too, bro. If you haven't seen this one, that Team USA tournament. Now that,
Oh yeah, dude, that is the invitational.
One. Have you seen that one?
Yes,
bro.
So I'm gonna do a whole show on like the invitational and all that. I'm gonna stream like the whole thing and invite anyone on that wants to come watch and talk about
Dude,
it.
I would love to come and talk about that particular moment, dude. Because I thought we were getting our ass kicked, and then dude, the year that we got beat. Oh man.
Okay, sounds like we have something to talk about then when I can do the invitation.
I remember we got beat. Rich and we go. He takes his trash can and just throws it across the room. Oh man, it was epic.
That is.
It was epic, dude.
That is
and like,
awesome.
you remember that scene from Happy Gilmore where like Happy like throws something and then the
guy catches it,
the caddy, or like the caddy like goes and like kicks something over. That's like what I was.
Oh yes.
So like Rich throws the garbage can. I kind of like yeah, what he said, you know.
That's so funny. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. The homeless caddy. All right, where's your little exit here?
Oh yeah, this is California Love, I think, right here.
All right, CrossFit, come on, give it to us.
The former champ. We'll find out right.
There we go. Like, it's like you're a pro wrestler coming out to do 13.5.
It's because that was in my backyard, right? I think this was in Santa Cruz.
Oh, was it in Santa Cruz? Oh yeah, we got, because I think they said that Rich stayed with you, right, or something like that. They came out and you stayed at 27 years old. That's so funny. Have you seen any of the open announcement stuff they do recently? Do you keep up with it at all?
A little bit. Yeah. I mean, yeah, dude, that was
like the stuff they do now. No, we're not watching Rich. We're not watching Rich. We'll watch 2 seconds.
Oh, this one, dude. This one was brutal, man, because it was thrusters, and then if you didn't make it in time, then you couldn't go on to the next round.
It was 4-minute windows. But I just like the production value of this open announcement. And I know it costs CrossFit a shitload of money to organize this and put this stuff on. But man, you want to get people excited to throw down, like, do this. Don't go film somebody in their garage do it. Like, I would skip all my plans to watch this at night and then stream about this after and talk about this forever.
Dude, I know, man.
Do this anymore.
I know, man. I know.
We got Dave with the suit and Roy with the bow tie. Good times.
Oh man, yeah, that was.
All right.
Yeah,
We got,
you know,
go
I
ahead.
want to see the sport grow. You know, I was, you know, I commentated for ESPN this last year for ESPN, and that was a cool experience. Very cool, definitely different. But, you know, I want to see the sport grow. I think that we'll see where the sport pivots to. You know, I think that the semifinal workouts look a lot more CrossFit-ish,
Yes.
for lack of a better term. I think that's ultimately where the sport needs to go. It needs to kind of hone in on what movements, where it wants to go. I think if it could do that, if it could give the spectators like a depth that they could be aware that's going to come out, and then if they could find appropriate ways to get to the fittest on earth, like through online training, through online competitions, I think you're going to be in a really much better spot personally.
Yeah, I agree. And I think part of it with the sport is that I like when they have the workout simple, whether it's semifinals or the games, simple enough that people watching that don't necessarily CrossFit or don't do it at a high level can understand what the goal is and what they're doing. And I want them to feel like when they watch them, oh, I could do that. I could do that. Because when they make it look so easy at the games level with movements you can comprehend, it makes you feel like I could be a part of that too, even though they don't realize they're 1,000 miles away from ever getting to be able to do what they're doing. But when you have like certain tricks or certain movements, or even like we're going to watch the bird run here in a minute, like flipping that pig, like no one's going to be like, oh, I could flip that 600-pound pig over and over in the field. Like no one can relate to that, but someone can relate to moving a barbell high speed, doing some pull-ups, running around. I don't know. So I feel like that needs to be a good mix in the programming for people to get excited about it.
Yeah, man. If you fast forward, so you get the hotel fitness routine on. So let's see. What am I doing here? Okay, let's see. That's it right there. I think we start talking about.
All right, let's.
So if you see, dude, I'm in like jeans.
Yes.
Hang squat cleans to a thruster, and every minute that rolls around, you have to stop and do 5 burpees.
5 burpees on the minute.
Easy peasy.
So I think it's 100 squat clean thrusters.
You know what? I do remember this. I do remember this, and I know I've seen countless people doing this since this video, like at the games and stuff. I feel like this is everyone's go-to.
Oh, that's a shitty range of motion.
Oh boy.
Fucking lockout.
Yeah, so you saw like, bro, I was in jeans, and look, I'm wearing socks because dude, I didn't have shoes on. I had nothing, man. I was just trying to like have some clam chowder and go out for a meal, and then all of a sudden we get back and this happens.
That was the lifestyle, bro. That's a lifestyle.
It was all
back
lifestyle. Then. Look at those Adidas shorts, extra long. Hell yeah.
What's that competitor shirt from you wearing? Is that from the
2009 games?
Oh, okay. Were you I don't think you were, but I may be mistaken. Did you do the again faster Rogue Tahoe throwdown? Were you in that?
Bro. Oh, dude, don't even get me started on that one.
Why can't I remember what events you were in for that? Like I remember a whole bunch of events.
Just watch my stand-up paddleboarding, bro. I grabbed
on. Yes.
Dude. Yes.
Okay. Yep. I remember that race out there on the lake. Oh my Lord. Okay, that's still a lot of reps in 5 minutes. How long did this take overall? I'm not doing this. Chat, I'm not doing this, by the way. The hang is kind of nasty, too.
Dude.
Instead of just thrusters, the hang makes it so much nastier.
Is that Andy Stump in the background? No.
Brutal. Sub 11, not bad with those burpees. It's freaking brutal.
Oh man, good times. Good
All
times.
Right. Let's get to the last couple of years you competed individually. All right, where are we at? So first of all, this may be one of the most impressive feats ever for a CrossFit event. Like, I know rowing is kind of in your wheelhouse, but did you have a plan going into this for the 2K into the half marathon? Because I would think that people would have been cautious, but it did not appear that you were cautious on your 2K at all. You just went for 100 points.
Yeah. So, just for anyone listening who doesn't have a background on this particular event, it was a 2-part event. It was scored as 2 events. So it was a 2K row straight into a half marathon row. And like I said, it's scored as 2 events. So if you take the first one too easy, and you take 30th place, it's going to
all for nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what's interesting is that A half marathon row is like something 13,000. It's an odd number of meters, right? It's not like 5,000 meters. It's something odd. And it was the first 2K was a score, right? And so as I'm going, I'm like, all right, I'm going to win the 2K. That was in my mind. I'm like, I'm going to win the 2K. I'm going to come down and I'm going to build back up. That was like my idea. And the funny part about it is we start the row and I could not tell how many meters I had gone. And the board at the time wasn't really telling me. All I had was my monitor. And so I just kept rowing pretty much as hard as I could until that screen hit like, I want to say it hit like 7.5 minutes.
Wait, you couldn't see the like rowers above you on the screen?
Oh, I knew I was in the lead.
Oh,
but
okay.
I didn't know if I had hit 2,000 meters yet.
Oh, I see.
It's all good when you're like, from an armchair, right? Like you look at, you're like, oh, it's supposed to be, 130,000 meters or whatever it is. Why don't you just subtract 2,000 from that? At the time, that makes sense. But when you're in the middle of it, you're like, wait, shit. What am I supposed to do? And so I just told myself, there is no way that I have been rowing slower than I don't know, 130, 500 meter pace. Like there's no way. I'm just telling myself. So I just kept rowing until I got to like 7.5 minutes, 8 minutes. And then I was like, dude, I have to be done with 2,000 meters.
God.
So I kind of built a hedge.
I would say so. I'm going to see what your time was because I'm curious. You remember your time?
It was like, no, I don't remember my time. It was pretty good though. I don't
6:21 won it. And Rich was second, 13 seconds slower than you.
Yeah, so that's the point I'm trying to make, right? So I kept rowing that way until like 7:30 because I knew it. I'm like, dude, there's no way this is taking me over that. But anyways, learning lesson for me.
That's so funny. I remember I was in the stands watching. I sat there and watched this entire event back there in the stands. I just like stared at the monitors and watched the boats on the screen for whatever.
Dude,
2
the boat
hours
on the screen was a great touch. And so what I did is I tried to keep it sub 2. I kept it sub 2. I think I pulled a 155 for like an hour and a half or whatever it was.
Yeah.
But the part that's really interesting about this event and the burden run was that there were some of the very few events that I've experienced in my life where I won and I knew I was going to win before I won. And those were really powerful moments for me. Like some that stand out for me is like when I won Jackie at regionals one year, I had worked so hard to try and win that event and to set a world record on it, but you get it by seconds. You don't know you're going to win until you win.
Right.
With this, I knew I was going to win for at least 4 minutes because what happened was I had built up a hedge against my training partner, Neil Maddox. And as I'm looking at the screen, I'm saying to myself, okay, I am X amount of meters ahead of him. And then I was doing the math in my head. Like there's no way. I mean, unless I just stop rowing, there's no way he's going to catch me. So I knew for like 4 or 5 minutes I was going to win. And so that was pretty cool because it was like moments I can kind of cherish. Same thing happened with the burden run.
That's nice. Yeah, the burden run's a lot more spectator friendly to watch. I watched it and it was cool, but there wasn't that many people hanging out watching this. The burden run was crazy from start to finish.
Dude, that was such a great event.
It really was. All right, let's see here. Let's pull that up. I did a whole episode on just the burden run with.
Oh, you did? I'll give you some color on it.
All right, I did a whole. So we'll look at some highlights from it. But I did a whole burden run episode. I think it's because I talked about it. Do you remember the Capitol event they did a couple of years ago?
A lot of similarities.
Yeah, I think it was based on that. I have to imagine, but I think the burden run's actually nastier than the Capitol. So I did like a comparison of them.
So what most people don't know is that the night before this event, they take you there and they brief you on the events ahead of time. So like not all the events, but just some of the events that are known. Dave will say, hey, we're going to start here. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. You need to come over here and do this, do that, because there was some logistics involved in this, right? Like where do you run? Where do you go? I'll give you an example. When you come in from the run, you don't have assigned lanes. You can go to any lane you want. When you come in to the stadium, you don't have assigned lanes. You can go to any lane you want. Those are examples.
Yep.
So he's going over this in the soccer stadium with us. And I just remember being in the soccer stadium, which was just an epic location. And the tennis stadium was electric, but the soccer stadium was very grand. Remember that one event where you like ran around ran around it and then like you did some like snatches, or then there's one year where you had to do muscle ups, but if you broke, you had to do another lap around.
The biathlon. Yeah, the muscle biathlon. Yep.
But anyways, so we're standing there and I'm looking at this stadium. And I was like, dude, I just try to like self-visualize, like, what would it feel like if I ran through this tunnel first and heard this place erupt? And I was like, I'm going to do that tomorrow. Like, that's what I'm going to do. And I just try to visualize it. And sure enough, that's what happened. It was probably one of my highlights. This is probably my best event I've ever competed in CrossFit Games.
That is such a cool way to think about it too. It's like you're like projecting what the payoff is going to be for your efforts, among other things. But one of them, you just focused on, like, if I come through the tunnel and I come out there and the crowd erupts when I'm the first one out there, like, that's sort of like what you're manifesting. And then you go and do it, like, pretty handedly. You think the pig's the biggest separator on this for you versus the field?
Yeah, I mean, so I think the thing to think about too is, like, when you get in to the stadium, like, I knew I was going to win if I went in that stadium first. Like, I was not going to be out sledded. Like,
Right. Yeah, no chance.
So there's my training partner, Garrett, fast.
Yeah, he was a beast too.
Yeah, man. My goal was just to stay in the middle of the pack on the run, just kind of stay in the game. But guys were running fast, Garrett gets here first. He's a beast. Like I said, I think I came in like maybe 16th, kind of middle of the pack, and just tried to make moves on this, just try to stay consistent. But that pig was heavy.
And you guys didn't get to touch it ahead of time, right? You weren't playing with it at all ahead of time. So that was the first time anyone got to touch it. And so whoever could kind of adapt to it the best and move it was no surprise. It was you. And then you make a 100-pound log look like nothing. How terrible was it carrying that log? It looks so awkward.
It was just awkward. Like, at the time you come from being on a burden run where you're pretty tired, right? I think you ran like a couple miles or whatever it is. And then you flip that 100 yards. So it was a lot of flips. I mean, that was a lot of flips. And by the time you come off that, picking up the log was just kind of like a nuisance, right? And it's funny, man. I don't know if you could see it in this. You could actually see my dad running down, following me through the tunnel. I don't know if this is the right, watch, if you want to back up real quick where I'm in it's just kind of a funny, like, kind of clip for me.
It's no, but I could get the,
it's okay.
What's funny is, I watched the whole thing, and it's probably, I probably remember seeing that too, like coming down,
my dad like sprinting behind me. And so anyways, when I dropped that log and I walked in here and this place erupted, like, I knew I was going to win that event. It was just super meaningful. So what I did, my mindset was, hey, don't get too comfortable, grab the sled, pull it halfway, take it in. And then at that point, like, cause I had not touched the sled either. So I didn't know how hard the sled was going to be.
And how hard was it? Cause some people couldn't move it.
It wasn't that bad. I mean, it was, it's all relative, right? But it wasn't that bad. But the difference between this event and other events was that a win was a win. Meaning, like, because everybody was in the same heat together, there was no benefit to me going faster or slower. Like if I won, I won. You know what I mean? If you finish first, you finish first. Whereas other events, when there's heats, you don't know what the future heats or previous heats did. So in this one, there was no benefit to me exhausting myself. Like, just do whatever I can just to win.
And what's coincidence about that is this was the next event after the 2 rows. And so you had the same sort of feeling after the rows, and then the burden run was next. And you can kind of finish that. Once you got out there, you had that. You had 3 first places in a row going into the rest of the CrossFit Games. And you actually had a really solid finish, but I think a couple things.
Yeah, I finished 2nd overall.
Yeah, that was your 2nd year. Yeah.
I can't remember what exactly events. Legless, I think, kind of might have been.
Zigzag sprint killed you.
Dude, yeah, that
was the sprint. Yeah, I think you took 43rd. I'm looking at right now, 43rd. So that was tough. But if there was, I think, in my opinion, if there was a year that you had another chance to kind of challenge for the top spot, obviously taking 2nd, it's easy to say, but you had such a strong start to the games this year. If the programming was even 1% different, there's no zigzag sprint, you probably are taking out Rich this year too. And you're probably getting your 2nd championship. I mean, I'm just saying it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think the 2nd championship was more like, I mean, if I had taken 40th on that run instead of, it's so funny, man. Cause like hindsight's always 2020. And when you look back at your career competing, mine was a little bit different than others in terms of like, I was performing really well. I came off a 2nd and a 3rd. But family decisions decided we would go team. And that was a really unique experience. And then, my daughter got sick, and I look back at it a lot, and I think back and this is the way I kind of treat my life now with as a husband, as a father, as a gym owner, business owner, whatever, is like you make the best decision you can at the time, and you try and, really reach your potential in these different areas, because you never know when things might pivot or shift, and you don't want to have any regrets. And I'm grateful I don't have any regrets in the sport. I think I did everything I could to put myself in a position to win every day that I trained, and where it ended up.
I love that. I think that was so awesome. And for me, there's no question in my mind, you were my favorite to watch. A lot of people I was doing CrossFit with favorite to watch. And it was just the attitude, your approach, the way that you just kind of threw chance to the win and just were willing to just go for something, where a lot of other people, especially today in the sport, it's harder to pick someone to be a big fan of in the sport today, because as you need to be strategic, people are overly strategic, right? They're very cautious about things, and it kind of takes away a lot of the opportunity for excitement. So to me, you're the most exciting CrossFit Games athlete there's ever been. And
oh man, I really appreciate that. I think, for the sport to grow and again, reach its potential, I think it needs to, create personalities in the space that people could feel engaged to watch this. And I hadn't thought about it like that until you just said it right now. Like, I never thought about it through that lens. Like, maybe people liked watching me just because I was like, dude, it was YOLO. Like, I'm going for it. And like, I wasn't just talking it up. Like, I was backing it up, and a lot of times I still train that same way today, and it gets me into trouble sometimes, but it's fun.
But that's just it, right? You went for it, and you'd come in last. Like, I didn't even bring up the clip of the heavy sandbag or D-ball and the handstand push-ups where you failed the last handstand push-up over. Yeah. I did it. I already did that in the show, so I didn't have to bring that one up again. But like those incidents, like you're just going for it. However it comes out the other side is how it comes out. And I just really appreciate that. But I don't want to take any more of your time. I want to give you a minute, though, to promote whatever you got going on. You have a podcast that I just started trying to catch up on. That's really cool. What else do you have?
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I think a good platform with this is just the Jason Khalipa podcast. For me, it's either with guests or with my co-host, Gabe Manest. We're just talking about all things, training, being a dad, being a husband. And my goal, my goals have changed, right? And my goals have changed from trying to be the fittest on earth to now my main mission is to protect, provide, and I train to be able to do those things. Meaning, like, I want to be able to run, jump, climb, lift for my family. I want to be able to, if needed, do those type of things. I want to be able to provide experiences. Like, fitness gives me an outlet to always say yes and never say no. Meaning, if my son wants to go play baseball tonight, if my daughter wants to go on a walk this morning, like we did, like, I don't have to say no because I know the physical fitness, and I could provide those experiences to them. And so training today has taken a deeper role for me, which is really revolving around being like the fittest person I could be for as long as possible, and using it as an outlet to show up the best I can for my family and my community. So if you're interested in talking about those type of things, right? Not so much the sport of CrossFit. Like, we'll dabble in that every now and then. We really talk about more like life, dad type stuff. Check out the podcast.
Yep, you should. I started listening to the episode with Matt Chan. It was awesome. And I really liked your post on masculinity you just did. I think that's a really cool lesson that everyone should check out on your Instagram. But
dude, I appreciate, man. I'm always down to talk about some of these throwbacks. Like, for me, it's not so much like I'm trying to live in the past. Like, I enjoy doing this stuff because I think it'll help the sport in the future to give some understanding of the past. But also, it's just fun, man. Like, dude, I love reminiscing on some of this stuff. I'm like, I haven't thought about the hotel workout. When you posted that thing about the Amanda, I had not thought about Amanda for, I don't know, a couple of years since the Rogue Invitational. And then you put it up, and I've laughing my ass off, bro. And
that's awesome. Well, if you're down, man, I'll have you back on. We'll do some old regionals events, because some of those were some of the sickest, like, exciting workouts ever. And you absolutely crush regionals every single year. So especially the Jackie, I heard rumors that you did Jackie like 20 times in preparation for regionals that year. So
probably 40.
Yeah. So there's probably a few stories we could get into behind the scenes for regionals prep. But if you want to do it again, I'd be more than down.
Yeah, man, let's do it. And I appreciate everybody for listening. And yeah, man, I appreciate you having me on, give me an outlet to share some thoughts on these things. And that's it.
Dude, it's been fun. Guys, thanks for showing up and watching. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, with Matt Chan. I can't even believe I have 2 back-to-back days like this. It's going to be crazy. Thanks, guys.